Now, Australia Day this year falls on a Monday, so it is a true blue Aussie long weekend that we all love. But get set for the annual whinging and whining about the date, the flag, you know, the routine. Let's now bring in 2CC host Stephen Tiempo and former Liberal MP Jason Falinski. Thanks for your time. Stephen, to you first. I mean, are you surprised with this poll released from the IPA today that shows young people are for Australia Day on the date of the 26th? And in asking that question, it doesn't surprise me at all.
I've got to say I'm a little bit surprised because it tends to be the younger demographic that goes along with all of these left-wing woke ideals. So I'm pleasantly surprised that young people are standing up for our own nation again. Look, it does my head in that the flag changes, as I like to call them, seem to come out earlier and earlier every year and try to find some offence with the date of the 26th of January. Most of them don't actually understand what the 26th of January represents. But good on 18, I think it was 18 to 34-year-olds in that demographic standing up for our own country. Good on them.
Jason, the other part of this poll is that these youngsters are against companies allowing staff to take an alternative day to the 26th of January. That can be only good news for everybody.
I think that's absolutely right, Steve. I mean, I think what this poll reflects is that younger Australians still believe that we are stronger together, not separated. They reject and really object to all these people in our community who are trying to divide us, who are trying to get us to hate each other. And they realise that while we are not a perfect nation, that our mission is towards being a perfect one. And that's why this date is so important. It doesn't represent everything that's good in the world, but it represents something that is incredibly important, which is that we are trying to create a perfect nation.
Well, Jason, I mean, given we're having a national debate about cohesion, which is, you know, in the background of this Royal Commission that we're now having after that horrible terror attack in Bondi, I mean, what better day than the 26th of January, Monday week, which to celebrate and say, look, we do need to come back together, and we need to come back together in loud voices.
Steve, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, that is the one day when we can reaffirm our commitment that we are not a perfect people, but we are committed to creating a perfect nation. And the hate and division that directly led to Bondi comes from all these omni causes. The same people who are protesting the downfall of Maduro and the Venezuelan government are the same people who are protesting or celebrating what happened on October 7 in Israel. It doesn't matter what the cause is, just as long as they're protesting something that creates hate and division in our society. And I think younger people have had a gutful of it, they're sick of it, they were educated on it, and they just want to move on and come together to create a better world for them and those who come after us.
Let's talk about the news of the day, and that's Dr. Kevin Rudd announcing that he's going to resign as our ambassador to the United States. I almost fell about laughing when it was suggested that it was Kevin's idea. Stephen, look, I've had my run-ins with Kevin. He once, and I've written about this so I can talk about it, he once wrote a letter to an editor of mine calling me a gutless coward. So I'm no fan of Kevin's, but he should never have been made ambassador in the first place, should he?
No, of course not. But now we need to look at who his replacement's going to be. And the two candidates that seem to be floated are Joel Fitzgibbon and Stephen Conroy. If Stephen Conroy is selected, it'll be just as disastrous as Rudd. And I think Fitzy would probably be the best option, given that he's a former Defence and Agriculture Minister, the two portfolios that we really need help with with regards to our relationship with the United States. And Fitzy's one of those kind of blokes who can get away with everyone. So if they do tap him on the shoulder, I think he'd be a perfect replacement. But you know, they're saying Kevin Rudd's going a year early. Well, I reckon 3 years too late.
What about Jason Falinski? He's a good diplomat. We could put him in. We could put him in Washington.
Listen, I think anywhere you put me, like you really have run out of names. Here's my tip. If Albo was being really, really Machiavellian, he'd offer it to Josh Frydenberg. I think there would be a number of positive upsides for him to do that. But yeah,
you've been thinking long and hard about that today. I wish I'd come up with that. What a fantastic idea! I mean, removes him for 3 years. He's not back in charge of the Liberal Party. He's not standing against Albo at the next election. You see why Jason Falinski was such a good MP, Stephen? That's a really good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think Josh Frydenberg's silly enough to take the position. I think he's got his eye on something else at the moment, so I don't think that's going to be an option.
Well, Stephen Conroy's not a bad option because he's a golf fanatic. He plays a pretty good golfer, and maybe that's what you need with Donald Trump. Now, Jason, the Prime Minister announced today a National Day of Mourning after the Bondi terror attack. It will be held next week on Thursday, January 22. Flags flown at half-mast on all Commonwealth buildings around Australia. He says he's been in talks with a rabbi about this. I'm not sure about Australia and days of national mourning. I know it happens in a lot of other countries, and yes, we all feel very strongly about Bondi, but I would have thought that perhaps the day to do that might have been Australia Day.
Steve, I think that's right. And look, my greater fear here is that we are actually exchanging substance for spin. So we don't want to do anything, but we don't want to look like we're not doing anything, so we'll have a day of mourning. To misquote Abraham Lincoln, what he does here will not be long remembered, but what we do here can surely make a difference. And really the key to this is the hate and division for which too many politicians of Australia have ridden their way to power needs to come to an end. The sources that fund it, that allow it to happen, that make it possible, these are the things that need to be definitively investigated and stopped. So if the day of mourning, whether it be the 26th or some other day, can be the start of us rooting out that evil in our society, then I'm in favour of it. But I fear what this is actually about is a cover-up for the fact that that is not going to happen.
Yeah, I suspect you're right, Stephen. Good idea or bad idea?
Look, the concept itself I'm not opposed to, but I think it should be the 15th of December next year on the anniversary of the day after the anniversary to say never again. I think the day of mourning is an important symbol, but I think Jason's right that all of the other things have got to be gotten right. This legislation that's being rushed through, I mean, why did we recall Parliament when it could have been handled on the 3rd of February after there'd been more scrutiny of the legislation? Why didn't we call a Royal Commission within days rather than weeks? There were many things that needed to be done, but more importantly, we need to investigate why this government sat on its hands for 2.5 years and allowed anti-Semitism to fester that led to this massacre on the 15th of December, or the 14th of December, I should say. I've got no problem with the day of mourning. But let's make sure that it is a symbol of never forgetting what happened and never letting it happen again.
100%. Jason, Stephen, thank you very much for joining us. Now, coming up after the break, the delusional